is Carlos. I live in the south of Brazil. I'm married and I'm getting older. Yesterday I was talking. I'm doing physiotherapy because I did a surgery on my ankle, and in the physiotherapy there was a lot of old guys, really really old guys. There was a girl in there with 18, sorry, 80 anos. The other one has 90 years old. And I was thinking, oh, I'm young and anything else. And the girl say, oh, I remember the first time I made physiotherapy. It was 14 years ago, and I didn't like the girl who talked with me. And in my mind, oh, if it was 14 years ago, it's not anymore a girl, because she used the expression a mocinha. Ah, eu não gostei da mocinha que me atendeu. Eu falei, bom, então não é
Yeah,
mais
yeah.
uma mocinha, né? Anyway, just some just fun fact. I'm uh occur with me yesterday. All right, and that's me. And what about you, Osvaldo? What you can share about you?
Well, I'm here on Talking Talk since beginning of last June. I love to learn, to be honest, about everything. My current hobby is about to learn something about aviation. I've decided to play aviation simulator. Yeah, and I'm learning a new skill. I don't know why, but yeah, I think it's so beautiful. Yeah, the 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 planet, the Earth, you know. So yeah, because that. Let me see. Well, yeah, I work as a developer since 2020 December. Um, I live with my fiancé and a stepson near Campinas, São Paulo. And I have two amazing children, two boys. Okay, I think it's enough for a while. For you, introduce yourself, please, Erika.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Érica. I live in Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais. Now I'm getting two swimming classes um, every week on Tuesdays and on Thursdays. And for me, when Carlos said I'm getting older as well, like everyone. So now I think I need to start to improve my body weight because I don't like to go to the gym, but I love swimming. I work as nutritionist here, some public schools. And in my free time, I love cooking, reading books as well, going out with friends, watch TV series. So that's it. Today is the public holiday, so I'm not working today. But tomorrow and Friday, I go work as well. How about you, Young? Tell us about you.
Morning, guys. Uh, Let me see. I love to do exercise. This is the topic, the hot topic of today. I love doing this, but I started when I was a kid. I played football for a long time. I was a good zagueira, and I had a lot of fun in that moment. I played football for 5 years, more or less. But I entered in the university and I continued playing in a feminine team where I had to stop in 2019 because the job speaks loud, falou mais alto. The job it was more important in that moment. But nowadays I return to this, trying to do gym workout. And the main reason it was getting older because I have already some problems my shoulder. And if I have these problems now, I keep imagining what it will be in the future. So I started to do this. to go to the gym, and nowadays I like it. Help me with my anxiety mainly. It's that. And you, Francine, how it's going your gym routine?
Hello, guys. Good morning. So first, uh, before answer this question, I will present me because I don't know Erica, and maybe she don't knows me. So Erica, nice to meet you. My name is Francine. I'm from Minas Gerais, but have lived in Curitiba for 6 years. Nowadays, I work with technology. I'm an analytics engineer, but I graduated in tourism. So I migrated of career almost 3 years ago. But about the exercise and gym, I I always try doing a routine of exercise, and I have stopped it in some time. But nowadays, I'm trying to go out to the gym every day at morning. So last week I started wake up at 5:30 a.m. because for me, works uh, go to the gym in the morning. I hate to go to the gym at night because it's very crowded and my energy goes down. So, and I am here in Talk every day at 7 a.m. So for I be able to the gym before. So I have to wake up early. But I am eu estou conseguindo. And because Bianca said, I am in the gym because the health.
All right. Congrats, Francine. Actually, it's no way. There is no way to come back when you start to wake up early. It's like your life changes, especially to us here in Brazil, in the south of Brazil. The From now until March, the sun rises really early, 5:30 a.m., and we need to enjoy this time because you live in the Curitiba. I know Curitiba. After March, will start to rain and become cloud, and will be dark until 7 a.m. and will be really hard. So enjoy this time because it's really good. We are not so privileged as like the guys in the northwest or in the north of Brazil because they have sunlight from 5 a.m. every the entire year. So we need to enjoy. This is my favorite part, my favorite time of the year, because I like to wake up early, do my own stuff, before I start to work. And this is the best season for me. Yeah, I was thinking about to move from the south of Brazil because there is nothing here I like. I don't like the winter. I don't like I don't like cold. I like sun, and we don't have that so much here. Anyway, we are here today to talk about books. I share the questions on the chat. Let's start with the first question. Erica, can you read the first question to us and start answering, please?
Okay. First one, do you usually read books? Yes, I do. I try to read at least one book per month, but sometimes I can't do this. And when I enjoy too much a specific book, I read it again. So, but I try. I love reading, but I think my challenge is because in Brazil, buy books so expensive, and I don't like to physical digital books. So I just buy one book and read many times. But for me, books, newspaper, I love read them. How about you, Osvaldo?
Oh my goodness, I think I'm a piece of out of box today. I don't usually read a book actually. I've read few books in my life to be honest, and I'm here to learn with all of you. I'm sure that you have a lot of good experience. I've heard some books, of course, but a few books. Yeah, that's it. And you, Young?
Um, yes, I do. Not for fun, unfortunately. I just read books because of my work. And well, I try. I have to read a lot, but usually I read more articles than books, scientific articles than books. But books, it seems to me that books you have more freedom to think freely, to think and write what you are thinking and develop more a concept, for example, but just for study, for work, not for fun. But this idea that Erica gave to us, one book per month, it seems a nice idea. I should do it often.
May I ask you one thing, Yak? You said about reading articles, and it's not my job, it's not something I do frequently, but I want to ask from you, when you are reading an article, you can read line by line the entire article, or you are reading and jump to the parts you want, or oh, this is not important to me, I can skip. How do you do that? How do you read an article?
Well, I have my objective of study, my study objective. So when I am reading an article, my vision is enviesada, is biased, I think. So I know what I am looking for. And I pay more attention in what I am looking for, but I had to read the other parts. And I do fichamento at the same time. So I have to copy and paste the main parts in another document, or I write a little bit about what I am reading, and I focus on what I am interested. But I had to read.
So you don't skip anything from article, because when I'm reading an article, it's look like the first, I don't know, 5 page. It's only information. Oh, we are doing this research because of this, because of that. I don't want to know that. I want to go straight to the point, and I always skip those parts. And of course, I'm not a research like you, and I think that's the reason I'm not a research. When I was in the college, my teacher invited me to be a research, and oh no, thanks, because I think I don't have this capacity, because it's really hard to me to read an article. I prefer to read a book than to read an article. So that was just a curiosity.
And I think Yanka read the scientific articles in English, right? So it's most difficult.
Yes, yes, it's more difficult. But it's nice to training sometimes. It's boring, but I had to.
All right. And
I
what about sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry, Carlos. Just as a final note, I'm having this kind of difficulty, Yank, about aviation. It's so hard learning this topic only in English because the technical words. And I need to mix with Portuguese because it's a lot of hard to learn.
All right. And what about you, Francine? Do you usually read books?
Yes, I usually I do usually read books, but nowadays it's more about my books about my field and not about another things. But I like to read, but sometimes I don't like read, for example, romance, because I feel that is a waste of time. I don't know why, because I like so much series and movies, and and I don't know if I have patience, but I usually read books. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And you told about read books related to the job, and I need to confess a sin. I'm a sinner because I'm a software engineer, and I never read a book about software engineering. I never read
Me
clean
too.
code.
Me too.
I
Me
never
too.
read I never read a book about PHP or anything else related to the software engineer. And I have a lot of friends in my work. Oh, you need to read this book. Will open your mind about this, and it's awesome. And thanks, man. I will read, but I never read a book
I read
related to software engineer.
I
So
read
it's
about
a
Pascal, Carlos. Pascal
what?
programming.
No,
Pascal. Do you know?
no. I know Pascal, but I never read a book related to software engineering. And I read a lot of books, you know. I'm here reading this one, and I have this other one, and I have a shelf in there with I was counting. I had almost 100 books in there, and I'm counting because I want even more books. And but I never read a book related to software engineer. And I think maybe that can be a post on LinkedIn. I don't know, because it's strange because software engineers who work with IT usually read books related to IT, but I'm not this guy. I like to read books, and I like fiction, you know, and I read I Robot, Eu Robô, before they do that movie. And since I was a kid, I read a lot of books in my life. And the last few years, I'm reading more, I don't know, religious or self-help, uh, autoajuda, and those kind of books. It's helping me because since I became a father, I realized, oh, I don't have experience with that, so I need to read about it. And I go to read books, and you know, my wife was reading how to be a mother, and I was reading how to be a father. And since of that, I know I'm diving into this field, and maybe uh, I can change that, but I don't have anything else to read, so I keep reading that. Actually, me and some friends in December, we always do like a amigo secreto, secret Santa, you know, but we will do uh, we call um, amigo livro, because we will choose a random person to present with a book to read. So that's it. I like to read books, as you can see. Anyway, so let's go to the next question. Question number two, Oswaldo. Can you start with the question number two, please?
Okay. What's the first book you remember reading? Well, I can't remember the first book I've read, but I can remember a important book for me, my uh, teenage, uh, a book called Estrela da Vida Inteira by Manuel Bandeira. It's a poem book. Uh, the most important poem. Oh my god, I forgot how can I say poema. uh, of this author. And yeah, by the time I've loved to write and read poem, it's interesting. I remember I've spent a lot of time in my life on the library, on the school library. Every single interval, I don't know how can I say this. And yeah, by the time I've loved that book. Yeah, and I've written some poem following the way that Manuel Bandeira used to written. And yeah, that's it. And you, Bianca?
Well, let me see. When I was teenager, I was really fan of a series, Vagalume series, the Ática Editora. And yeah, I love it. I think that I am here studying and continuous reading because of that, because I was really addicted to that series. And it was like, it's an old series and it had like 43 authors, I think. It was released in 1963 and more than 100 books until 2008, 2008, maybe. No, 200, yeah. And well, I loved this one, but one book that really was important to me, it was Fahrenheit 451, 451, that it's about a society, a futurist and dystopic society where blue books are prohibited. You are not allowed to read books anymore because they think that read books bring to you knowledge, but unhappiness too. And there are this thing that if you read a lot, you will be sad. You will transform in a sad person because it's a lot of knowledge and not always it's a good thing and so on. And they ban all books and they had firemen to burn all books that they found. And the story happened in this
Wow.
way. It's very nice. And there is a film movie
No,
too.
it's not. It's not very nice. If they are burning books and you are rabid to read books, it's a nightmare. It's not good.
Yeah, but they
Sorry. It's a joke.
it's a kind of story that we can imagine in our society becoming this kind of society, you know? It's very, yeah, realistic sometimes. But if you don't want to read this book, there is a movie with Michael B. Jordan. He's awesome in that movie. And it's the same story and it's a dramatic way, but it's very nice if you don't want to read the book. There's this movie option. Well, Erica, did you answer this one?
No, not yet. I remember when I was a kid, almost 7 or 8 years old. I read a book called Zezinho, o Dono da Porquinha Preta. It's a book for children. And I remember this history that I read many, many times. The history tell us about the boy Zezinho, that he had a black pork called Maninha, and his father tried in the all history separate Zezinho to Maninha. And Zezinho was a kid, and Zezinho do many adventures, do try many strategies to avoid the separation from Maninha. In the end, Maninha stay with Zezinho, so it's a beautiful history, but it's for kids. So I remember this book because I read this in was a kid, and but this book come to my life from school because I think today, but when I was a child and teenager, many of the books that I read are from schools. The books that teacher said to students to read in order to work in the semester in the year. So, but this book, he really, I love it. Zezinho, Dono da Porquinha Preta. It's so funny. How about you, Francine?
Well, about I a first book that I remember, I said in another conversation here, but is of a book of Sari Vagalume too, called Sozinha no Mundo. I don't remember what age I I was, but I remember me in the library and see the cover of the book, and it was a girl. I a girl in a with a lone aspect, and I was intrigued about this cover and why this girl is alone in the world. So I read, but I don't remember well what the context. But what I remember is the girl it was orphan, and she she passed some adventures and know and did friends, but I don't remember very well about this book. But I have clarity of my choice in the library of the school. It was very good. And because I think it's my first book, not storybook, a little book, but a book more with more pages. And I remember my second book, because not second book in the order, but another book that I remember is called 100 Anos de Solidão, because when I was 15 years, 15 years, I think so, I would like, no, I liked a singer called MPB, called Ana Carolina, and a song talk about the I go read the book 100 Anos de Solidão. Oh my God, I want to looking for this book, and I search. It's a difficult book, but I read to the end for just because of the song.
That's awesome. Actually, you are talking about the library in the school, and I think I became uh, a reader because of the school. I remember I'm going to the library and choose books to read, and I remember the smell of the library, and it's like a pleasure to me, be in a library. I do not do this so often right now, but I try to give the same experience to my daughter, and she hated because you cannot talk in the library, So I was dreaming about, oh, I will take my daughter to the library and she will choose a book and she will become in love by the library and the books, and she hated. So I have to accept my fail as a father, but at least I'm teaching her to read books. This year, I think my daughter read, I don't know, 10 or 11 books. And of course, I need to give some bribe to her to read books. I pay $10 to her each book she finished. But I remember going to the library, choose books, and this was how I became in love by books. And the first book I remember, I read a lot of Vagalume series as Yanka, Francine, Barcos de Papel, and so many others. But my favorite, I don't know, it's my favorite, but it's the first who came to my mind. I was 7 or 8 years old. I don't remember exactly. It was a long time ago, 1998, 99. It was before the 2000, 2000. And it's a book called The Vampire Who Discovered Brazil. Vampiro que descobriu o Brasil. And it was a chart, it was a task to read this book in our home, and was a really really good. It's the book tells the history about Brazil in the perspective of a vampire. It was a guy in Portugal who was became a vampire, and he saw the vampire who turned him in a vampire going to a ship, and that ship was travel to Brazil, and he got another ship, and uh, he came to Brazil to find this vampire and destroy him because it was the only way he could die. And the book tells the entire history of Brazil, the Brazilian independence, and many important facts in the in the Brazil country. Uh, and the vampire was seeing that, and it was really awesome. And especially, and it's a book about vampires, but I read it before Twilight. Crepúsculo became famous, all right? Crepúsculo veio em 2008, eu li esse livro em 1900. It's not a vampire who shines in the sun and anything else, but it was a really, really good book. And yeah, it's give me a pleasure remember this book. I don't know why. Anyway, let's move to another question. Let me check here. Um, we can go to the question number 4. All right. Yanka, can you start with the question number 4, please?
Okay. What are the top 3 books of your life? Well, let me. It's my favorite book, but I don't remember the name. I think that A Menina que Roubava Livros, of course, it was one of my favorite books because of the history, of course. And it's nice, as Carlos said, this kind of book that the author tells a true story, like Brazilian story, but with another vision about the thing, bringing a vampire to talk about the things. I feel that A Menina que Roubava Livros is more or less the same, not about vampires, but in another perspective, and talking about a period of the history that is important for the humanity, So I like this play. Another one, it was a Francine Way, a biography, but it was Marighella biography. I really love this guy and his history too, and what he done for Brazil or for our culture. And Marighella, it was a writer. Uh, he writes poems, and he was an engineer, and he writes a lot of poems and poems about engineer too. So it was really nice to read his biography and the book that he wrote too. And another one, there is another one but it's about my job, but it's not about my job. It's Na Senzala Uma Flor, it was written by Eduardo Teles, that in my mind, the slavery period, it was really hard, and really it was, but I didn't believe that it was possible to have family, to Black people to have family in that conditions, in the slavery moment. And to me, it was really bad to think about it, but in A Senzala Uma Flor, Eduardo Teles is a demographer too, and they tell that it was possible that existed families in that moment that faced the challenge, but it was a reality. There was families made by pessoas escravizadas, né, enslaved people. and they tell very, very beautiful stories and how it works too, how they fight to make their families real and make their families exist in that environment. So I think it's these three. But if I could indicate some a book to you, it will be Nascendo uma Flor, I think. It's very beautiful. It's this. And you, Francine, could you tell us?
Okay. I remember now two books, but these two books is more recent, like I don't know, five 5 years, because I like so much books about self-acknowledgement and biography. But the two books more important for me that made me more reflexive about things is Coragem de Ser Imperfeito. The, the book is, the author called it Brené Brown, is a famous research about researcher, the profession that is doing research. These books tell about vulnerability and the importance for be vulnerable and recognize a lot of things. I identify a lot because I'm considered a strong person, so I have difficult for show me my weakness, and I think it's very important this book. And another book is called Mindset, because talk about the different mindset, fix it and grow the growth mindset. It's like, for example, if you believe that your entire life you are not good in something, it's because you it's not good. But when you have a growth mindset, it's more able, I'm not good now, but I can be good. So it was very important to me because I had a mindset, I fixed mindset for a lot of things, and this helped me. Uh, it helped me think about my new career, for example, in technology area, because in my ages ago, I never imagining working with technology because I was thinking very, very difficult profession. So that's these two books.
All right, thank you. And what about you, Oswaldo? Do you remember the top three books in your life?
Yeah, I've prepared myself for this immersion, but I need to confess to say you it was hard to select the three books because, like I said, I don't usually read a book actually. I've loved to read a book in my teenage time, but actually, unfortunately, not. And I'd like to get some advice, guys, about good English books because I aspire to improve my read habits, and maybe start with English books could be a good idea in my point of view. So, about the books, my first important book was uh, Entire Life Star. Estrela da Vida Inteira hasn't English translation, it's called Estrela da Vida Inteira at all, by Manuel Bandeira. Read that, Dad and Poor Dad, about financial, by Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know if you know this guy. It's a amazing book that teaches how use better the money. So it's really really good. and it's shaped my financial view, a lot. Yeah. And last but not least, the power of habit. uh, i I don't finish it, but it's a really really good book about the how the habits can change our lives. Yeah, that's it. And I don't. Carlos, your turn.
All right, thank you. Actually, let me check. I think the top one is that I shared, o Vampiro que Descobriu o Brasil. So it's always in my memory. But after that, when I become an adult, I start to read another kind of books. Uh, I remember a good one I read, it was I'm the Legend, Eu Sou a Lenda. It's the same, it's tell the history about the same movie. Eu Sou a Lenda. It's a movie with Will Smith, and it's a really, really good book. And the most recently, and this book changed my life. I can saw that with sure. It's called Total Forgiveness. Perdão total in Portuguese. In this book, I learn about the God's love and how I don't need to be perfect and I don't need to be holy, for example. And because since I'm going to the church, people can judge you if you do some mistake, and people sometimes can hurt you if you are not following their rules. And this book helped me a lot to find the God's love and really change my life and my vision about the world. Basically, the book say there is nothing you can do to make God loves you more, and there is nothing you can do to make God love you less. Tipo, em português, tem nada que você possa fazer para Deus te amar mais e também não tem nada que você possa fazer para Deus te amar menos. And of course, it's a religious book, but this book really changed my vision about my own life with God, and it helped me a lot in the hard time I had. In it helped me a lot in a hard time. Sorry. Oh my God. It helped me a lot in a difficult time in my life. That's it. Yeah, and that's me. Total. Yeah, it's this one. I don't know who asked, Oswaldo. And let's go to
It's my
next
time.
Oh,
I
sorry. I
didn't.
was I,
No
I
problem.
was reading my notes here, Erica. And what about you? Do you remember the top
Uh,
three books?
so I think it's hard to select only three books. I think which book that you read in your life, each one impact you in the different way. But if you need to do the podium, I'd like to say the first one will be Quarto de Despejo of Carolina Jesus. The second one, Memórias Póstumas de Brás Cubas of Machado de Assis. I think is the classic in our literature. And the third one, Vidas Secas of Graciliano Ramos. When I read the first book, Quarto de Despejo, I feel so touched about the history because tell us about the black poor human that tries to survive in a slave. So it's a how the writer try to survive in a poor life because the difficult to buy food, and about your life, and about the mind of the writer, because she's was poor, but she knew the structure of the society, so she knew about how she live in this condition. So about the reflection about your life in our society. So I think for me it's an important book because represent the many people in Brazil, many women in Brazil that is still living in the vulnerable position. So for me, I would like to say these three types, these three books in my life for me was amazing. But there are others as well, but now I remember of these three books.
All right, thank you, Erica. Actually, we got it close to the end of our conversation, but I think we had time to a final question. Let's go to the question number 10. Have you ever read a book in another language? And I will start with you, Francine. Did you ever read a book in another language?
Yes, I read an entire book for my a book to my field for my field called it Storytelling with Data, and was very very good because I I understand most of the context of the book. So for me, it was a great experience. I read another book too, called Google Analytics, when I was working with marketing, digital marketing, and just books about my field, right? Not a storybook. I have a Kindle and I downloaded a book, a romance novel, but I didn't finish this book.
I want to buy a Kindle because it's hard to, when you are travel, take your books together. So I'm looking for a Kindle. I don't know, 6, 7 months, because I take a lot of time to buy something to me, you know. But it's in my wish list. I want to have a Kindle in the future. And what about you, Osvaldo? Have you ever read a book in another language?
No, but I aspire to do that.
All right. Someone else? Let me check, Erica.
I will search a book.
I didn't sorry, I didn't read the whole book in English, but just some parts. I want a book in Congress about milk properties. It's about my field, nutrition, but the language of the book is so boring, so I didn't try to finish the book. And I prefer to read scientific articles about my field. But the book I didn't try yet. I didn't have the opportunity to read the English book, but I know I need to try. But the small one, I think I should start to read the books in only, I don't know, 10 pages, 20 pages, because some books, if the book is in Portuguese, I'm still afraid. If you manage to read the book, if it gets 200 pages in English, so I need to try. I need to start reading the English book, but in so flowy. How about you, Bianca?
Um, yes, I have read books in another language, English mainly. And I remember two books. One of them, it was Born in a Sinner, Nascido no Pecado. It was written by Trevor Noah. He is a South African guy, and he tells his story, his childhood, teenagerhood, and adulthood living in South Africa and living during the apartheid too. Apartheid ends in 1994. So it's really contemporary, I think. So he talks about his history in this moment, and he is a comedian. He presents a daily show. It's a show in a comedy show in the United States, very funny, talk about politics and so on. And so he's a comedian and he tells his history in a comic way, but talking about historic facts and talking about his story. So it was really nice. And another one, it was for work too. It's learning statistics with R. R, it's the software that I use to program and to analyze database. And in this author, it's very didactic. And he uses examples very simple examples to explain hard things like regressions, linear regressions, multinomial regressions, things like that. So he uses simple things to explain hard things. I think that it was these two books, my favorite books in English.
All right. Congrats. Actually, you are really good with dates, com datas, because you are talking about the year and oh my God, I terrible with that. So congratulations, Yanka. I was listening from you and you are talking about those dates and I was thinking, oh, I can't do that. So congratulations. Anyway, guys, we are getting close to the end. Before we finish, let me close our YouTube transmission because you guys on YouTube